Hey, I just spent 2 days of my life, and not just my normal life, my holiday 2 days of life, building a four-dimensional Rubik's Cube. What have I done? So that this doesn't waste any more of your life than it has of mine, I'm gonna show you at the start what the four-dimensional Rubik's Cube looks like, and then I'm gonna direct you to a link in the description to a free computer program that you can download that will let you properly play about with the four-dimensional Rubik's Cube and probably give you much more insight than I could. So first of all, here is my four-dimensional Rubik's Cube. And this, in the 4D world, must look like a terrible child's drawing. It's a horrible scribble. On the outside, the outer layer, we've got this purple four-dimensional bit. That kind of opens up in all directions. And then on the inner layer, we have these pieces, which in 4D world would be cubes. And so this is the orange face there. And then you can see all the way to the inside, we have this smaller one in here. So this completely opens up. I mean, I say opens up, really it falls apart to show all of the different parts of the 4D Rubik's Cube. And now here is some footage of me getting progressively more fed up as I realise what a ridiculous idea this was. So originally I thought I'm gonna make it kind of like a skeleton and use pipe cleaners. It seemed like kind of an easy thing to do. But it's going to be quite difficult to show the faces just with pipe cleaners. So I'm going to go with making it out of card. So it won't be a skeleton, it'll be more kind of like a net of this tesseract, and then, you know, colour in the faces. I want it to be so that it can explode. So essentially I'm going to have a small cube, a large cube, and then 6 truncated square-based pyramid to make this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a sketch so that I know what lengths I need. So I'm now making a 2D sketch of a 4D object so that I can make it in 3D. Now, 2 quite important things to note about this are this is not going to be a functional Rubik's Cube, because that would involve engineering skills much greater than the craft skills that I have. So it's essentially going to be more of like a 3D diagram of a 4D Rubik's Cube, and I think ideally I'll have 2 of them so that it's like I can do the solved one and a scramble. Secondly, a good thing to note is that this is completely pointless because there are a number of computer programs which will allow you perfectly to actually move a 4D Rubik's Cube and kind of see what's really going on. So I would not recommend ever doing this. This is stupid. Okay, so here's my diagram. We've got, I guess, an oblique drawing here, and then I've done a plan. So I've decided to go with an outer cube of 15 centimeters and an inner cube of 5 centimeters. I think that will work out nicely. And then I've used double Pythagoras here essentially to work out the diagonal of a 5x5 cube, which would be these dotted lines in here. So the pieces I'm going to need for the outer layer and the outer cube, I will need 12 pieces of card, well 12 15 by 15 squares. For the kind of trapezium faces, I'm going to need 24 of those, and I think I can probably get 2 out of 1 piece of card. So that will be another 12 pieces of card. I think I can get 6 5x5 squares out of 1 piece of card. We'll see what we at. 30 pieces of card? Alright, so things are already going wrong. I only have 18 pieces of card. So back to the drawing board. What I've decided to do is reduce everything and scale it by a factor of 4/5. And that way I can get 2 of these out of every piece of card, so I'll only need 6 pieces of card for that. I think I can get 4 of these out of a piece of card, so I would only need 6 of those, and then that should be able to come out of 1, so that would reduce it to 13. I mean, I might even be able to get these out of the scrap, which would be 12. And I've also just noticed this hand typo here. That should be an 8, because I don't think that triangle would be possible. Let's get doing it. Good news, everyone! Turns out with the scrap paper left from the larger squares, you can get 2 of the trapeziums out of it. So we gonna be frugal. Hey, it's the next day now, and I'm wearing the same clothes for continuity or laziness, who knows. So I've cut out all the pieces, I've taped them together to make nets, so I've got 6 of these truncated square base pyramid nets, but remember, in 4D, these would still also just be cubes. The reason they have to get squished and small at one side and big at the other side is because we can't really fit 4 dimensions into 3 dimensions. I've got 1 of these small cubes, so that's going to be the one on the inside, 1 large cube net, which will be the one on the outside. There are 11 different nets of a cubes, and although these are the least interesting ones, they're the easiest to visualize for me, so that's why I'm using them. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the kind of the grid lines onto them to show, just to kind of represent, you know, 3 by 3 cube for each of these. What I've decided to do for the colours is these 6 here are going to represent the normal 6 colours that you would get on a Rubik's Cube. White, yellow, red, green, blue, and orange. Yeah. And then the inside and the outside, because there's 8 faces, or 8... Is it face? No, it wouldn't be faces. 8 cells? 8 cells in a tesseract. I'm going to make the inside one pink and the outside one purple, because I think that would be fine colours to add to standard 4-dimensional Rubik's Cube colouring. So then the next thing I was thinking about was, I want some way to represent the faces that they're going to be touching, because obviously these are going to fall apart in 3 dimensions, whereas in 4 dimensions they would be kind of all held together, just like how these are not separate 2-dimensional squares, they're all held together, and you get ones where, like, I can see this piece here is a corner piece with green, yellow, and pink. So I want some way to show that on my 4-dimensional Rubik's Cube, even though it's going to fall apart. So what I'm going to do is the lines on these nets here are going to be the colour that that cell is, but I'm going to shade it pencil in the background according to which part it would be touching. Let's get on it. So this is our first finished cell. This is the This is the pink cell. You can tell that because it's got pink lines on it. But the shaded parts, they show what side it will be touching. So what other cell it will be touching. So like this bit will be touching the yellow cell, which will have yellow lines. There is no purple face on this pink cell, because like this will be sitting on the inside and it won't touch the purple cell, which kind of goes around the whole outside of the 4D Rubik's Tesseract. So this is the outer cell, which I'm choosing not to fold into cube form, because I think when I've got all the other pieces in it, this should be able to wrap around it. I think that would be how it works, because this is essentially the 4th dimension one. You wouldn't really see this one. Its shading is exactly the same as the smaller inside cube. When you think about it, the inside one and the outside one are opposites, and so it kind of makes sense that they'd be shaded the same, since the shading represents which parts the cubies are touching. On a 3D cube, say the yellow and the white are the opposites. Well, they're touching the same things. Like the yellow, it touches the orange and this pink one here. I know it's not standard colouring. And the white also touches the orange and the pink. So opposite sides touch the same colours. So on our 4D Rubik's Cube Tesseract, opposite cells should have the same shading. My eyes are watering and I think I'm actually going to cry, and I don't know if it's because the Sharpies are getting to my eyes or I've spent so long thinking about the 4th dimension that my brain is just going to explode. So I've been doing this for like probably a total of 10 hours now. I've made quite pitiful progress. So here, this is what it looks like, one of the truncated pyramids, as a 2D net of what will become a 3D shape, which is still a net of a 4D object. So I've done a few of them so far. Here's the green one. Yep. So I guess I will keep going. So that's all the truncated pyramids. All the pieces are actually made now, so I should be happy. But the final kick in the shins to this project is that this orange piece here the shaded parts, the blue and the green are the wrong way around. So there's a green and the blue ones over there. There's a blue and the green ones over there. So I'm going to have to take this apart and put it back together in the right order. It's done. It's finally done. So, as time-consuming and silly as this venture was, I'll give you a little bit of context as to why I would do something like this. There's been a few times in my life where I've been working on something to do with cubes, and it's not just been a normal cube with colours on the faces, it's been something like this Sudoku cube as it was called on the packet, which is completely missing the point. And it's been really useful when I'm solving things like this to draw it out as a net. Here's another time when I was inventing something which I call the Parker cube, where I drew it out as a net so that I could see all of the faces at once and I could get a sense of how pieces related to each other. I then thought to myself, I wonder if, say, the Parker cube or the Sudoku cube could exist in the fourth dimension, and I was trying to imagine how I would even go around solving that, and I thought, well, you know, in the three-dimensional world, I draw a 2D net, and it helps me figure it out. So maybe in the 4D world, if I draw myself a 3D net, I'll gain a better understanding of which pieces are touching each other and how they relate, and then I'll be able to do something cool maybe? So it has at least done that for me. I've got a better insight. I'll draw some parallels between an actual Rubik's Cube and this four-dimensional Rubik's Cube, how it helped me. On an actual Rubik's Cube, one of these pieces here, you can see quite easily that this blue piece also is connected to the orange piece and to the white piece. And that's a corner, and it has 3 colours basically. So everything is kind of one-upped when you add a dimension. So the corners on the 4D cube, they have 4 pieces all connecting to each other. So for example, this corner here, I can see that because this is the blue cube, it's blue, so it's got a blue part, but also because of the way I've shaded it, and I know the shading doesn't come out very strong, it has, it touches the white face here, the pink face, and also the red face. So the blue, white, pink, and red, they all have a point where they meet and they'd be touching each other at that bit. Similarly, the edge pieces on the normal cube, so like this one here is just blue and white, they will be touching three different parts in the four-dimensional Rubik's Cube. So this bit here, that would be an equivalent one, it is blue, but it also touches the white and the pink bit, which I can see because it's shaded in. So white and pink there. The center pieces, now on a normal, that's very mean, isn't it, of four-dimensional people? The center pieces of a three-dimensional cube, they don't touch any other colour. So one up in the fourth dimension, the centre pieces on this one, it's blue, it does touch the pink face. And there is kind of another bit, which I guess would be represented by the 0th part, like the 0th iteration, the inside section in there, which doesn't really move, doesn't touch anything. There would be one of those in here as well, kind of in the middle, and it also doesn't really move. So it's kind of cool that the zeros are preserved. Another thing that I thought was cool, the final thing that I thought was cool doing this, was any of the diagrams or things that I looked at, kind of thinking about a 4D Rubik's Cube, it almost made it seem like this piece here, which is just a blue corner piece, would be exactly the same as this piece here. I didn't know if there could be just a unique solution, because I thought, well, this piece and this piece, maybe they could be mixed up. But actually, when you go to shading these in, you realise that's not possible at all, because this piece, although it's blue, this is the blue, purple, pink, white piece, and this one, although it's also just a blue corner piece, is the blue, purple, orange, white piece. So they are different pieces, there is only one unique solution. All that being said, this was a huge waste of time and I would definitely not recommend that anyone does this.